bum, 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 ba-dum, bum, 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 ba-da-da-dum, bum, bum, ba-dum, ba-ba-dum. Rum bum 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 ba-da-da-dum bum bum ba-dum ba-ba-dum. Hi, friends. Hi, Christine. Hello from Indiana. Hello from Maine, says Nina and Linda from Pennsylvania. Hello from Oklahoma, says Phyllis. Good evening from Michigan, and Laura from Georgia, and Michelle, hi, from Chico. Hi, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Hi, everyone. Mia says no sound. Is that so, everyone else? Let's see if everyone else is having trouble. Hi, everyone. Sounds good, says Jody. Could be in your system, Mia. So, Phoenicia from Florida, hi. Yes, we can hear you, says Michelle. Great, great. Yes, yes. Buffy says hello. Hi, everyone. It's Monday night. And my light is flickering up here. That's a strange thing. I don't know if it's bothering you, but it's strobing on me. Hey, Perry, would you mind helping me with this? Because this light is strobing. This light here is strobing. So, yes, that's what it is, Monday night. And we do one thing, and one thing only, and that is, maybe if we turn it down, that'll help. And sorry to be distracted here. Sounds great, says Tammy. Good, 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 good. So, it's Monday. My name is Joette Calabrese. We do one thing and one thing only every Monday night. I teach you what I know about homeopathy, and not just about homeopathy, but also, sometimes we talk about lifestyles a bit as well. So some of that we're going to be talking about tonight. So for those of you who are new, welcome, friends. And for those who are old friends, it's great to see you. You sound great, Joette. Thanks, Michelle. Hi. I think it's Nali from Ontario. Hello from Wisconsin. Hi, Paula from Wisconsin. Music is still playing, says Jeanette. So here we go. We're going to get started anyway. From a chilly Western Australia, Tara. You're here every week, Tara. It's so nice to have you here. Hear you fine. Hello from Naples, Lori. Beautiful. Very nice. All right, friends. Let's talk, shall we? The subject tonight is to get sick. Get really sick. I mean, so sick that you have almost no hope. Or you don't have to get sick. It could be your child. It could be your spouse. Could be your pet. Could be anyone that's dear to you, including yourself. And that's how you will find health. Now, this was a statement that one of my father's dearest friends, his name was Dr. Jules Constant, said to my father. He said, you know how you get well? Get sick and then figure it out. Don't ask the other people to figure it out for you. Just get sick and then get well. If it's in your charge, it'll get done. If you leave it up to someone else, maybe not so. So I have to say to Dr. Jules Constant, thank you very much for that wise statement back, I don't know, I must have said that in the early 80s. And I've noticed that people don't come into homeopathy. They don't come into my office when I had brick and mortar, but even on Zoom, they don't come skipping along and twirling about into my office, happy as a lark. No. They come crawling in. People who get to homeopathy have to crawl into it because it's the last, so-called the last resort. And the reason it's the last resort is political and financial and has to do with marketing, and I'm not going to go into that tonight. But what I do want to go into tonight is, you know how there are stages of dying that, Elizabeth Kubler-Ross proclaimed to have identified? She said, I haven't listed here, denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. So I've been thinking about this for years, that when I run into someone, let's say, at a family picnic or something, they might say, hey, have you got anything for, and then fill in the blank, indigestion. Hey, you got anything for, frequent ear infection? You got anything for, that's not the person who is going to be committed to going all the way. Not that you really even need such a commitment, to be honest. You just take the remedies. It's not that difficult. But it's easy to fall back. So not unlike the 5 stages of death that Elizabeth Kubler-Ross identified, I actually believe there are stages of finding health and autonomy. There are a lot of similarities. Not exact, and the struggles can lead towards a sense of life and death. Sometimes when we're really sick, it's frightening. Really chronically ill. Asthma can be very frightening. Many other diseases, headaches, chronic migraines, etc. But in the stages that I will be setting out here tonight, it often ends up not in death, but in something much more lilting. Self-reliance, a renewal of what we're supposed to be doing here on earth. An understanding of autonomy. Because when we observe this in others too, those people who are going through these stages, we are of illness, we are commissioned to gently guide them along the way and help them when they're ready. So I've identified 9 stages that people must go through in order to get to self-reliance, homeopathy. It doesn't have to be homeopathy. It could certainly even be nutrition. It could be lifestyle changes. Could be our diet. Could be our, just discerning that we need to step outside of a bad relationship. So let me tell you my 9 steps that I believe people go through. The first step is denial, not unlike Elizabeth Kubler-Ross's first step. I don't worry about health, says the person. I'll live forever. Thinking about health is for old people or the unlucky. That's not me. So often that's young people, right? They feel invincible. And it can go into people in an older age as well, but it's not interesting to me. I don't care to learn about health. I don't care to learn about homeopathy. I eat just fine. My lifestyle is healthy enough. Then there's the second stage, and I consider this also denial. But it's also acquiescing and kind of bargaining in a way. It's the first step in bargaining that Elizabeth Kubler-Ross identifies for the stage of death. Now, we're not talking about death here. We're talking about autonomy and learning how to use homeopathy. This time now the person says, I don't feel so well once in a while, but it's up to someone else to tell me what to do. What? I don't have time to learn this stuff. After all, I've been told what to do my entire life. Why not now? Now, they're not going to say that exactly. But they're going to say, well, the doctor's helped me all along. The doctor gave me my injections. The doctor gave me my antibiotics when I was younger. The doctor put me on the pill. Those are all things that I've agreed to. So why should it be any different now? Next stage. Now there's a rationalization and acquiescing is what I think is happening next. I don't feel well pretty frequently. Someone else knows my body, though, because the human body is too complex for me to learn about. So, and I just don't have that time. After all, I'm not an expert, and I really don't want to become one. I want to give it to the professionals, to those people who consider themselves the experts. I consider them experts, too. Stage 4 of illness. We're talking mostly about chronic illness here, right? Now the person is starting to question, and there's some bargaining. They say, I don't really feel well, and I've been taking the meds my doctor has given me. He's been prescribing for me, and it's okay that there are side effects, because I don't like the side effects. I don't really like taking drugs, and let me say parenthetically, everybody says that. I don't like taking drugs. Nobody wants to take drugs, but they are bargaining. After all, it wouldn't be on the market, right? There's got to be something good about that drug. It wouldn't be on the market. He wouldn't be prescribing it if the side effects were dangerous, right? Still starting to question. Stage 5 of chronic illness. The person's feeling more powerless and maybe acceptance of the plight. Now they say, I'm really chronically sick now. Actually, my life is becoming rather hellish. I have, and then you fill in the blank, asthma, diabetes, eczema, anxiety attacks, anger attacks, insomnia, chronic fatigue, PCOS. Yeah, I have all of that, but still holding on. Now they're holding on by their fingernails. But they know what they're doing. Yeah, I question whether these drugs are lying to me and that I'm being strung along, but what else can I do? Who am I? It's only my life, I guess, but who am I? Okay. Next stage. Now the anger starts to peek through. Okay, I'm really sick. I'm pretty chronically ill. It's been going on a long time. I'm getting fed up now. It's been years, and no one seems to know how to help me. This PCOS is still carrying on. I still can't conceive. I have acne. I still have asthma. I still have eczema. The diabetes is they just want to give me insulin. They just want to give me drugs. They just give me more and more drugs. I'm presently on 4 now, and the doctor wants me to go on 5 or 6, 2 more. I know I'm obese, I'm panic-stricken, I'm fatigued, I'm in pain. I mean, what's a person to do? But at least I'm angry, right? I have to say, friends, that by the time the person gets to this stage, stage 6, if there's no full awareness at this stage, if they don't come to fruition of what's going on, and they don't remember the previous sufferings, maybe they have a little opening and they don't feel as ill for a while. They're able to, work a little bit more fully. Sometimes if they get to the stage too early, too soon, they often revert back to stage 5 or even back to stage 4 and say, no, the doctors have got it. Because it is bargaining. They are trying to bargain with, it's okay. The doctor's got my back. But that only holds till the next trial or the next illness. Now they're in stage 7. Anger. They're getting angry now. And the light starts to flicker. Bling. Wait. Maybe there's something I can do. I hate what I've allowed myself to submit to. I hate the drugs. I'm angry. I feel a fool. Maybe somebody who doesn't prescribe drugs might have an answer. I'm pretty tired and I don't want to drill down and do this myself. I don't know what else to do. I need something else in order to survive. Now we're getting to the crux of it. Survival. Because when we feel as though we're not going to survive, and we realize no one else really cares, it's like Icarus flying in the sky with the wax wings under the sun. Nobody cared. Icarus he got too close to the sun and he was falling to the ground. Did anybody really care? Didn't matter. The only thing that mattered was Icarus's plight to himself. Okay. Now, this is the stage that the most transformation occurs. This is when there's self-examination. This is when the person realizes that they are the one they need to rely on. And maybe they need to rely on others in a group, but they know that, you know what? This boils down to one thing. Me taking charge. And this is the scariest stage to accept. Because up until this time, they were going to see the doctor every week or every 2 weeks or once a month. They were going on a regular basis. Keep hoping, wishing. But now, this stage 7 is really the big one. That's where the rubber meets the road. And I'll tell you a story about myself at this point. Years ago, I've told this story before, I had a homeopath who taught that my little group of, my study group, she would come into my house and she would teach us from time to time. She moved to North Carolina. And in those days, everyone believed that you could not be treated by a homeopath unless you were with them in the same room. You couldn't do it on the phone. There was no internet. But you couldn't do it unless it was in person. So I felt as though, oh my gosh, I'm being abandoned. I don't know how to take care of myself. I have one child now. At the time, I think I had maybe 2 children at the time. What am I going to do? I'm lost. And then my beloved Dr. Mary Catalano, who was by my side as I birthed my children at home, she passed away. She was 89. She passed away. And suddenly I was left with freaking. I was freaking. I didn't know what to do. And I realized, it took me a while, but it's when we have to be pushed through the eye of the needle that we realize this is up to me. These are my kids. This is my health. This is my husband. It's up to me to figure this out. It's not up to them. I mean, they were great, and I admired both of them and adored both of them, but this is my job. I better learn and take it on. So the light is volting up in this stage 8. Maybe I should start learning how to become the provider of my own health. Maybe it's sort of coming. Maybe. And then there's stage 9. The full light and resolve is illuminated. That's when the person says, okay, I will do this. It might be hard. It might not be hard. Will it be scary? It might be scary sometimes, but I'm up for it. Think about the pioneer women. Think about what other people in society have gone through, and then compare yourself to that person. They're strivers. I'm going to strive. I'm going to do this. I have no choice. Really, that's really what it boiled down to. Couldn't go to a doctor. The doctor was administering the stuff that I didn't agree with and then would shake a finger. So, no, wasn't going to go there. Only Dr. Mary Catalano. She was gone now. No one else is doing this. So, sometimes these stages can be gone through for in a short period of time. More often it takes time. But it depends on where the person was before they got to these stages. How much had they been beaten up by modern medicine, by drugs, by removal of wisdom teeth for no reason other than it's what we do? Having tonsils extracted just because you were a certain age. Getting on the pill because you had some acne. How many times were we going to have to put up with that kind of treatment? And if you'd noticed it, if you are the kind of person to notice, this period of these 9 steps would come to you much sooner than for others. But if you didn't suffer from any of those, you didn't have your tonsils out, you didn't have any acne, you lucked out, you weren't put on the pill at 11 years old, you weren't treated with disdain if you said no to someone, to a health professional, then it's likely that you may go through a long period of life and saying, you know what, they know, that's what they're there for. How many times have you heard that, friends? It depends on the amount of indoctrination, too. The number of medical appointments that someone's attended and how often they continue going through these stages, because every time someone goes for a medical appointment, there is an opportunity to be resold. Resold on the paradigm, resold on the drugs. Also, the influence of family members makes a difference. The influence of media and the influence of higher education. I've noted, and maybe you have too, that the smartest and the ones who move through these steps the fastest, who get it very early on, are those without a higher education. It's why I told my children, my husband and I told our children, we're not paying for college. You want to go, you pay for it yourself. We don't want you to go. There's a lot you can do without a college education. The Amish, the best people that I've ever worked with. Old-time farmers, or farmers in general, because they see the circle of life right there in their acreage. The old-timers, people who come from other countries, who know other ways other than the American way. Those are the people who get this, often go through these 9 stages much faster than those who are very much like us and have been indoctrinated. And also I noticed that the people who go through these stages faster than others are those who have questioned other areas of their lives. They've questioned the education system, their homeschooling. They question the food industry. They make their own. Or they've stepped outside of it. They buy directly from family farms. Those who question or are accustomed to questioning, which is one of the most important things to do in our lives, is to question the powers that be. That's when we see them move through these steps much faster than those who have been caught up in that web. You know, those who are educated say, my accountant, my gardener, my attorney, my doctor. My doctor said, oh, well, hey, if the doctor says, you might want to not do anything other than that, right? My advisor. They have been taught not to think for themselves. They have been trained to count on the experts. Be aware of that in yourselves, my friends. Be aware of that in yourself and in others that you care for. So I've got questions here. I heard the Amish children do not have autism. Yeah. Truth Seeker, says April. Fascinating topic. Yeah, question the assumptions in everything. Yeah, I meant to say do not. It's interesting that so many of all these questions are conspiracy theories. Oh, aren't they? They're just theories. Yeah, that's all they are. You know, I've said this before. I often question, why did this happen to me? Why was I able to question at a fairly early age, in my early 30s? Why did that come to me? And I've talked about it before. Partly was because my parents were from Sicilian immigrant families, and they were taught. It's not that they were actually taught, but they knew the way their parents felt about modern medicine. They didn't trust it. They said you go to the hospital to die. And they were also self-reliant. You didn't, your back stair was broken. What are you going to do, call a carpenter? No. You find some wood that fell off the back end of your building that you don't need any longer, that you saved. You get an old rusty saw, or you borrow one from the neighbor, and you saw it down and you pound it down to replace the old stair. No. Somebody was injured, you got the person who was injured, you lay them down, you start praying and singing to them and making them feel comfortable, and you start cleaning out the wound. And then you use what you've got. You use the herbs from in the garden that you were prepared already to have. Because you knew it was inevitable. If you had 14 kids, as one of my grandmothers did, you were prepared, right? She had a larder. She had a pantry. She had a small freezer. Nobody had big freezers back in those days. I'm talking about the 20s, the 30s, the 40s, even before the 20s, 1910s, the 20s, the 30s, the 40s, the 50s. You better be prepared. Otherwise, you are at the mercy of someone else's decision. Transformation and self-reliance, says Donna. Yep. Did I skip the 8th stage? Did I do that? I will go back. The 8th stage is the light is volting up. Maybe I should start learning how to become the provider of my own health. That's stage 8. 9. The full light and resolve is illuminated. Okay, I will do it. I have no choice. No one else is doing it. It's got to be. That's the last one. My husband says, I got to call the guy if he can fix it, if he can't fix it. Yeah, but I know your husband, Donna. He fixes. He does it. Full light and resolve, says Anna. You bet. My parents were the pioneers for me when my dad had heart issues. They didn't accept the diagnosis. Pam from Missouri says, thank you. Trying to sell you on the you-know-whats. Yep. Yes. The eighth full light and resolve is illuminated. Also self-reliance, transformation. Yep. Jen says, I always do the opposite of what you're told in most cases. Do your own research. Always. Always and forever, my friends. Always do your own research. So you have to get sick. You will not find health unless you get sick. You have to be frightened. You have to be worried. You have to be certain that you're going to die or something like that in order to be willing to move forward. So let me see if I've got any other points of view or any questions. I'm going to stay with my mighties tonight and answer a few questions. My parents were all into modern medicine, says Shelley. I thank God for bringing me up to where I am now, despite my upbringing. Yep. Tina B. in South Carolina says, I'm the obstinate outsider in my family. Everyone thinks I'm insane for refusing allopathic medicaments and only seeking diagnosis. Yep. Thanks be to God for us boring here now. At least we are here now. Love in the present moment. Let me also say about the present moment. I have to say that I don't know that I'd ever want to live in any other time. Lots of things are changing and fast and hard. There's an awareness that I never thought would occur. Never. We hushed, we whispered when our children were young. My little group of friends, we did not tell people what we were doing or what we weren't doing. Live in the present moment, says Ellen. Dolly from Pennsylvania says, for me, it was after my husband's third grandparent was diagnosed with cancer. I have no cancer in my family, and I start asking why. Yep. I'm so thankful for homeopathy and all of us here. Yes, Tina, all of us here, but I need foot surgery, and I'm really fretting it, says Donna. Once you learn the truth of something, how can you remain unchanged? Well, to help somebody give some information to Donna that might help her, because the doctor will say you need it. I'm not saying you don't need it. I'm not saying that. Don't get me wrong, friends. I am not telling you that you should never listen to a doctor, but might want to look into other possibilities, right? Yep. Sometimes allopathic medicine can be helpful. Surgery can be useful sometimes, but is it always necessary? Are we sure about that? How indeed cognitive dissonance is strong for many, says Tina. Allison says, my son just had surgery, and afterward they wanted to give him oxycodone. I said no, and my husband said, babe, you do know he has had surgery and had a screw in his hand. He needs pain meds. Well, I had homeopathy. 3 exclamation points, says Allison. Yeah, you see, it can be easily dismissed. Well, you understand that there is no other choice, remember? You have no other choice. You've got to go with that. Because, why? Because you were told that. So it may indeed be so that you must do something that is recommended to you by the experts. But on the other hand, it might not be. All righty, my friends. I want to finish with a phrase that I actually have right here on my desk. I have a glass top on my wooden desk. It's my father's beautiful old desk. And underneath it is an image of Dr. William Osler. And part of, by the way, he was one of the founders of Johns Hopkins. And part of the reason why people go through these stages is because of what he came up with 50, 60 years ago. He said, the person who takes medicine, any medicine, general anesthesia, antibiotics, prednisone, birth control pills, whatever it might be, the person who takes medicine must recover twice. They have to recover 2 times. Once from the disease and once from the medicine. Now, what does that tell us about submitting to these methods, these other methods. The body is going into war. And so we're always better if we possibly can, and it's not in every situation. Please don't get me wrong, as I've said before, surgery can be very useful. Emergency care can be quite useful. Some diagnostics, as long as they're not overused, can be useful. But you don't want to submit the body to something that's unnatural unless absolutely necessary. Now, that's a subjective statement, right? That's very subjective. What's absolutely necessary? The doctor thinks it's absolutely necessary. Are you sure you think it's absolutely necessary? Make sure it is before you submit to the doctor's interpretation of what needs to be done. That is Dr. William Osler, one of the founders of Johns Hopkins, shared that. Yep, thank you. No, not Schussler, it was Osler. O-S-L-E-R. Dr. William Osler, one of the founders of Johns Hopkins. So keep it close by, my friends. Share that with people who are taking meds or who are about to start taking meds. Now, getting off of meds is a whole nother story. That's something that we really have to talk about. The person has to be prepared to learn a lot more if you're going to start getting off of meds. And I always urge my clients to not just get off of them, but to go back to the doctor once they've started on the homeopathic medicines that are helping to improve the condition, and then saying to the doc, look, my blood pressure is even lower than it should be. What do you think? Should we back off of one of these drugs? What do you think? Should we get off of that drug? Okay, my friends. Let's go on to, right, Perry, are we ready? We're going to go on to my mighties. Just stay with me, my friends, and we will carry on with questions.